Welcome to Studio One. Glad to have you along as we join you from our studio located on the campus of the University of North Dakota. I'm your host, Tom Buehring. Up ahead in this half hour, UND Vice President for Student Affairs Gordon Henry discusses the impact the upcoming special election has on higher education. We'll also talk to Michelle Chadborn, who has quite a courageous story to tell. And in our Open Doors segment, music from Bourgeois Tag. But first, let's go to the news desk with Chris Blaine. Chris?
Thank you, Tom. The information campaign to educate North Dakota voters on the tax referendum continues into the final week. On December 5th, voters will cast their ballots on the fate of sales, income, and gasoline tax increases.
The campaign came to Grand Forks last week with a forum keynoted by Governor George Sinner. Speaking to a large group of state legislators, teachers, and concerned citizens, Sinner said North Dakota is near the bottom in money spent per pupil and in teacher salaries.
We rank 42nd in the United States in what we're spending per student in primary and secondary education. Is that too good for our children? Our teachers' salaries rank 47th. Is that too good for our teachers?
The audience also heard from Bismarck State Senator Evan Lips, UND Vice President for Student Affairs Gordon Henry, Don Larson of the Greater Grand Forks Chamber of Commerce, and Superintendent of Grand Forks Schools, Mark Sanford. Governor Sinner says if the tax issues are voted down, the chance the legislature would consider trying to bring them back are extremely remote.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that the legislature would go back in and restore these revenues, given that kind of a vote by the people.
In western North Dakota, chambers of commerce in Williston and Dickinson have publicly supported the yes position, while the Bismarck Chamber has given its qualified support. Grand Forks Yes Coalition Chairman Tom Potter, a UND finance professor, says the key to the election is getting all the yes supporters to the polls. In Grand Forks, polls will be open next Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the latest polls hold encouraging news for the pro-tax forces. The polls now show voters in North Dakota evenly split in the income tax question. The sales and fuel taxes are still trailing, but the margin is closer. For many competitive bodybuilders, winning it all means breaking the rules. But as Amy Bremser reports, one competitor reaches the top on his own, and he's climbing for more.
UND senior Vern Richter is a champion, a national bodybuilding champion, and a champion against the use of steroids in competitions. Richter was recently crowned Mr. Collegiate America Natural, a title he has worked hard to attain.
You don't need steroids to build you up. I mean, what it takes is a lot of dedication, commitment, and a lot of hard work to get to where I'm at now.
To earn the title, Richter beat out 35 other competitors from across the nation, all of whom were tested prior to the competition for steroid use. Richter stresses that the serious competitor doesn't need to rely on drugs, but rather discipline in diet and exercise are the keys to success.
I stay away from pop, candy, chips, burgers, stuff like that. It's not a lot of fun. I mean,
Richter is the first North Dakotan to win a national bodybuilding title, an accomplishment he is very proud of, and one that has started him on the road to his dreams.
I imagine in some time I'll probably try competing again, and I was just keeping it as a hobby, but if things could keep working out as good as they have been, maybe I could take it further than that.
Well, being around Vern has given me a lot of inspiration, and I think I'll give this bodybuilding stuff a try. Looks like a cinch. Let's see how it goes. Well, at least it's easy as long as you have some help. In Grand Forks, I'm Amy Bremser for Studio One.
With final exams just around the corner, study lights will be burning far into the early morning hours as students cram to raise the final grade one more point. But according to UND Student Health Director Harold Vanskoy, caffeine may not be the best way to stay awake. Caffeine is found not only in coffee, tea, and some soft drinks, but also the main drug in no-dose and Vivarin. The drug can cause many side effects, some which may last up to a week. Not only does caffeine make your heart rate speed up, but it also slows the senses, causing a narcotic-like effect. Even if students feel tired during finals, Vanskoy says they may be surprised to experience insomnia after the stress of the semester is over. That's a look at our news today. For Studio One, I'm Chris Blaine reporting. Tom?
All right, thank you, Chris. Going to the sports calendar for this weekend, let's start with hockey. The Fighting Sioux host longtime rival, the Wisconsin Badgers, in a two-game series, a crucial series. A UND sweep would vault the Sioux into second place in the WCHA. Game time Friday night is at 7. Saturday's game, however, will have an 8 o'clock start as part of an evening doubleheader with men's basketball playing host to Puget Sound at 6:30 in the Hislop Sports Center. Kind of a double whammy for you. Joining us for a look at today's weather, Studio 1 meteorologist Jay Searles. Jay?
Thanks, Tom. After a cold start this week, things have warmed up nicely over the last couple days, but that's going to be to an end this weekend as we take a nosedive. We had a high yesterday in the 42 degrees, a low this morning of 20 degrees with no precipitation in the last 24 hours. Currently in the Grand Forks area, under sunny skies, the temperature is 41 degrees, winds are west at 10 miles per hour, and the relative humidity is 54%. Taking a look at the national map, a large area of high pressure has moved into the western part of the United States, bringing clear skies and cool temperatures this morning. Since have rebounded into the 40s and 50s across parts of the desert southwest, with 40s lingering on in the northwest. Across much of the eastern part of the United States, much the same story, except things were really chilly across parts of northern Florida, where they had readings in the 20s and 30s with some light frost this morning. Across the northeast, this area of low pressure is bringing some light snow to New England and upstate New York. Not too much of a problem in that area, though. Into the central part of the United States, temperatures are more in the 30s and 40s in the tri-state region. An upper-level disturbance will be bringing some light snow into our area and a big change for the weekend. And I'll be back a little bit later to talk about that. Tom?
Okay, thank you, Jay. Contrary to what you may feel outside, tomorrow ushers in the month of December. Hard to believe. Time to start doing some serious planning for the holidays to get you started in the Christmas spirit. A fun event. Now listen to this, folks. The Chester Fritz Auditorium is putting on the Old English Christmas Feast tomorrow night and Saturday night at 7 o'clock. You're put on stage at the Fritz, surrounded with singers, dancers, minstrels, actors, and even a dinner. This annual feast has become one of the more popular occasions for the holidays. If you're interested, you better hurry. Only a few tickets remain. When we return, we'll meet UND's Vice President for Student Affairs, Gordon Henry.
People in the National Guard and Reserve make up over 40% of our nation's combat-ready forces. It's a job that requires them to face some very big challenges. So please, don't make their biggest challenge asking you for time off to do their training.
Mr. Aldridge, you, got a minute?
Be a hero. Give your employees the freedom to protect ours.
Every year, thousands of babies die from choking, suffocating, or other breathing emergencies. Just imagine how many of them could be saved if only they came with instructions. Please learn American Red Cross Infant and Child CPR. American Red Cross. We help you help others.
Voters of North Dakota will soon be going to the polls, casting their ballots in the December 5th special election. This election has brought much debate, especially regarding higher education funding, and our first guest has an inside look into those ramifications of the December 5th election. Gordon Henry, UND Vice President for Student Affairs, has been involved in North Dakota education with roles ranging from a teacher, an administrator, and as a parent. We welcome to Studio 1 UND Vice President Gordon Henry. Gordon, it's good to have you coming on.
Thanks, Tom.
Now, among the roles, probably one of the most important one that we didn't mention is you're a North Dakota native.
That's right.
This election has brought up a lot of heated argument. It's divided. And among the fact that you are a North Dakota native, many of the people voting share the same common denominator. Let me ask you this, Gordon. In light of the vote, in light of the election, could there have or should there have been more attention given to bringing the two opinions together to deal with after the vote?
That's an interesting question, Tom. I'm from western North Dakota, and the people I know out there have a real love and a real caring for this state. The society out there is changing rapidly, and many of the small towns are literally drying up and blowing away. And there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of feeling of pride and of heritage. And people are voting or thinking of voting from emotion. And I really believe that the common goals for the good for the state are there for both the yes and the no forces. And whatever happens in this election, we have to think about how can we pull together and how can we continue to move forward. We really are one state and one people, and I think that's something that needs to be thought about a lot.
Gordon, do you feel that the vote itself has set that back, the cooperative effort?
Oh, I think it's brought emotions on both sides of the issue, and surely anytime you get emotions and you get people that come from the corners a little bit, I think that does happen, yes.
You've been traveling throughout the state, in the community, on campus, sharing informative sessions about the vote. Anything that has surprised you about the public's perception to the vote?
No, not really. I think that if there's any surprise, it has been that people feel that the information gap. There's a lot of people who have not been able, especially as you get out into the rural areas of the state, it's very difficult for them to get information, to make sure that information is accurate information. My feeling is that this is a policy decision on the part of the state. It's not just for higher ed, it's not just for elementary and secondary, and it's not just for human services, but it's a decision about the direction the state needs to take in the future. And if there's been any surprise to me, it's been that it's very difficult for people to hear and to see the total picture.
Are you confident that the public has been informed enough to vote accurately?
I believe that in the last week and a week and a half, the polls would seem to indicate that more and more people are becoming undecided, and I think that's an indication that as they get more information, they're beginning to be a little bit more selective about how they might vote.
Gordon, a no vote to measures 3, 4, and 7 could suggest staggering cuts to already a shallow education budget. Based on what you're seeing throughout the state in the community, there's another side that suggests that a no vote doesn't necessarily assume that people are not supporting education or higher education. North Dakota and Minnesota alternate between being the first two states in sending high schoolers on to higher education. If a no vote does not suggest that people are not supporting higher education, what in your mind is a no vote suggesting statewide?
A no vote suggestion statewide is a concern of people that maybe there needs to be reorganization, maybe things need to be done better, maybe that the economy is so bad at this time that we have to step back and look at the priorities. But I really believe that the opposite is true. I really believe that we have to keep our services and we have to keep our education at a level where it's at and move forward, or we're not going to get through this economic downturn and move forward. So there's a kind of a paradox there.
By your estimation, the most devastating effect of a no vote?
I think the most devastating effect will be the impact of how it's going to impact morale. I think the money issue is there, and the impact right now is ominous. Services are going to be cut back, human services and education. They're real. Those are real figures. But the impact as we move beyond this year and into the future years, it's going to send a message to many people who care very deeply in providing services about how they're valued and how those services are valued.
Gordon, more expectations to a yes vote on higher education? Will people expect more from higher education? Will there be pressure on higher education?
I believe that there's a real responsibility on the part of all the state services, and higher education is included in that if there's a yes vote, that the people are saying that we need to do a better job of coordinating what we do. We need to do a better job of making sure that we develop the missions for each of our institutions and try to communicate better between the campuses and do a better job of getting out into the community and working and assisting with economic development.
And of course, I know you'd encourage the folks to go out and vote Tuesday.
Just go out and vote, whichever way you feel.
It's a must. Gordon, a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Vice President for Student Affairs, Gordon Henry. We'll hear about a young woman's courageous story when Studio One continues.
Come from? I was going to take a job with an engineering firm in New York. I got a better offer. I'm building schools overseas with the Peace Corps. The pace is a little slower than New York, but here I'm getting grassroots experience I couldn't get anywhere else. The way I look at it, the world can wait 2 years for another 40-story smoked glass high-rise.
Peace Corps, the toughest job you'll ever love.
Daring to dream. That statement can mean a lot of things to different people. For our next guest, that phrase has been the main ingredient in her ability to overcome adversity. Michelle Chadborn was paralyzed in a car accident in 1983. Through hard work and determination, she's become UND's first paraplegic physical therapy student. Because of her courage to believe in herself, her dreams are still coming true. We welcome to Studio One, Michelle Chadborn. Michelle, a pleasure to meet you. Your friends speak with the greatest of admiration for you and what you're able to accomplish. And let me ask you this right off the bat. Does that surprise you? Are we as a society, do we underestimate potential with physical disability?
Sometimes I think so. I think people put too much emphasis at times on what I'm doing because of my disability. I do what I do because it's a goal I have set. It has nothing to do with my disability.
Michelle, take us back to August 29th, 1983. What happened? Tell us about the accident.
Well, I was heading out of town. I lived in Beulah at the time, and I was going to volleyball practice week before school started at Dickinson State. And as I was going up the hill out of town, my car had a blowout in the back, and I'd only been driving like 2 months, and I didn't really have much experience, so I panicked. And when the car swerved towards the golf course, I pulled it back. And the second time I pulled it back, I slammed on the brakes, and the car flipped, and I was thrown out. And as a result of that, I had a C7-T1 spinal injury, which resulted in the paralysis. I had a broken shoulder and developed pneumonia from a punctured lung. That's kind of the short story.
The short version of it. Michelle, since what has physical therapy done for you? What are you able to use? Physically.
Physically?
Yeah. What are you able to function? Legs, ankles, arms?
I have motor control only from the chest up, voluntary. I have a little bit in my left foot, but it's not of any use to me really as a normal person would. So I have I have to do everything with just my arm and shoulder muscles. I have really no trunk control, but I have really good balance. And as far as physical therapy goes, we've been able to make adjustments that allow me to do the things I need to do.
Michelle, were you interested in physical therapy prior to the accident, or is this a result of post-accident?
It's post-accident. I never knew about, I was an athlete before, but I never gotten hurt, so I never knew about physical therapy, and that's how most people come to learn about it. I learned about it because of my accident.
You're the first paraplegic to enter into the professional physical therapy program. That's an accomplishment in itself. Michelle, you're going to be a godsend to many, many people who directly have you, who can empathize with the adjustments that need to be made. Have you had any experience with patients yet? You mentioned to me you did some voluntary work. Do you ever get feedback from patients saying that?
I do, once in a while.
What do they say?
They think it's great what I'm doing, and they're amazed, and they think if I can do what I'm doing, that they should be able to overcome whatever obstacles they're having to face. It tends to be a little bit of an inspiration for them.
Could you foresee being in the same situation they were, that somebody who can empathize, such as you, are they able to accelerate a lot faster in their recovery?
Sometimes. It depends on their own attitude as to their disability or the problem. But most of the time, it tends to accelerate them a little bit more. If they see me doing things that they thought they couldn't do because they aren't, quote, normal in their function, then they see me doing it and they think, well, yeah, maybe I can do it too. And they try a little bit more.
For you personally, empathizing in the situation, pulling back some of your own experiences, feelings, emotions, is that difficult to relive through, or is it therapeutic?
Not for me. I think it's more therapeutic. It helps me to see what I've overcome and that, yes, I can beat whatever comes up. You know, so it keeps me going when I relive those things.
And now that you're in the program, are you able to teach the teachers a little bit and say, no, that's not the way it works?
Well, right now I think they're teaching me a little bit more. But sometimes we sit down and look, well, maybe, yeah, they're, you know, what I have to say, it could be right.
Has the physical therapy program accommodated paraplegics well?
They're doing really well for me. I'm the first one they've had go through this. So they make whatever adjustments. We talked about this summer before school started, and we went through the classrooms and that, and tried to find any obstacles and went over what would be required in the courses. And we work as we come up to an obstacle, we fix it then and see.
Have you been able to stumble across anything that is lacking in the training that you've been able to suggest to the teachers or to the program? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
I hope they're not watching.
I think we all adjust well with each other, and nothing's been tough yet, not really.
I'm going to ask you this respectfully, Michelle. If we were able to switch chairs and switch turnaround circumstances, what would I learn about strengths of my own that you've stumbled across in your own life as a result of the accident?
You would learn that there's more strength inside you than you think there is to deal with things that seem impossible. You know, people see me and they think I could never deal with that. But yet, when you're in the situation, you find that inner energy to deal. And you learn more about people in the situation, and that you get stronger.
And stronger you go. You're still dabbling in sports as you always have. The next big challenge, skiing.
Yeah.
When?
This Christmas. I'm gonna go down to the cities and take some lessons and hopefully continue on to that during spring break.
And it's been quad rugby before as well?
Right.
And track?
And track.
What events in track?
I've done basically just the 100 and 200 dash. I don't know if you'd call it a dash in wheelchairs or not, but right now I'm not continuing that because I don't have a real track chair to use of my own, but I'd like to do that in the future more.
Michelle Chadborn, what a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, no hill is going to be a challenge for you. You're going to master that. I know you are. Any slope.
Thank you.
Michelle, thanks for coming on. Michelle Chadborn. We'll take a look at the weekend's forecast when Studio One continues.
Yo, Alf here. Apparently some chowderheads out there aren't taking care of this planet. They're messing up public lands. They're littering the beaches and vandalizing the parks. Look, folks, public lands are not like pizzas. You just can't pick up the phone and order more. So let's take care of our land. Let's save the planet. Call me and promise you'll help. I'll send you a bunch of neat stuff. It's my way of saying thanks. It's an acknowledgement of your concern. It's a bribe.
What's wrong, Vince?
My woman's done left me, my dog ran away, and people still aren't wearing their safety belts.
Aw, Vince, you singing those buckle up blues again?
Some people don't wear their seatbelts. I can't believe it's true. Those kind of people get knocked right out of their shoes. So buckle up, baby. Don't sing me those buckle up blues.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
I mean it, baby. Buckle, honeysuckle, buckle, yeah.
If country music is your cup of tea, then get ready to have a night of pure down-home entertainment when country great Ricky Skaggs will be in concert at the Chester Fritz Auditorium on December 8th at 8:15 p.m. For more ticket information, contact the Chester Fritz box office. Here for a final look at the weekend's forecast, Studio One meteorologist Jay Searles. Jay?
Thanks again, Tom. Taking a look at our forecast map for tomorrow afternoon, we see that Alberta clipper that was developing up there in Canada has slipped down into northern Minnesota, trailing this cold front behind it. Ahead of the front, readings will be in the 40s and maybe even a few 50s across South Dakota. But behind it, some colder air is going to be moving in with a few snow showers expected tomorrow afternoon. So the forecast in detail. For tonight, increasing clouds late, a low of 21 degrees. Winds will become south to southerly at 10 to 15 miles per hour, and no chance for any snow tonight. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy and cooler, a high of 30 degrees, which will occur in the morning, and we'll see those temperatures fall through the afternoon. Winds will be gusty out of the northwest at 20 to 25 miles per hour, and there's a 20% chance of light snow showers, mainly later on in the afternoon. For Saturday, partly cloudy and cold, a high of 5 to 10 degrees. And on Sunday, clear skies, but still cold with a high of only 10 to 15. So put another log or two on that fire for the weekend. Have a great one. Tom?
Or 3 or 4, Jay, is probably more the word. Our thanks to Gordon Henry and Michelle Chadborn for joining us today. This is our last show of the fall season. Studio One will return at a new time on Friday mornings at 7 a.m., debuting February 9th. We hope you'll join us then. It's been a pleasure having you along. See you again in February.